Welcome to All Docs on Deck, where we explore wellness, wealth, and womanhood through real conversations with women doctors across the diaspora. Another episode starts now. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another amazing episode of All Docs
on
on
deck.
Deck.
All that energy.
I know, don't we absolutely love it? And we have all this energy for you, my beautiful darling, because we're excited to be joined by Dr. Vincentia Paul-Constantin. Welcome, girlfriend.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, girlfriends.
Oh, thank you so much for answering the call. I'm really looking forward to this conversation amongst girlfriend doctors. But before we do, we have all this shimmy and excitement because we know who you are, but we want to make sure that the audience knows who you are as well. So
All right.
let me introduce you. Dr. C is a beacon of educational leadership and cultural competency. She embodies the role of a lifelong educator and advocate, and as the founder and executive director of Beautiful Dreamers Behavioral and Educational Center, she brings a wealth of expertise as a licensed mental health counselor, licensed both in U.S. Virgin Islands and the states of Georgia and Florida, as a national board certified counselor, a certified forensic mental health evaluator, and an approved clinical supervisor. Yes, Lord. Dr. C's formidable academic achievements include a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's in student personnel administration and counseling, a master's in clinical mental health counseling, a master's in special education, listen here, an educational specialist degree, and a PhD in specialized education. Woo! Talk about credentials, okay? She currently serves as the chair of the USVI, United States Virgin Islands Board of Licensed Counselors and Examiners. With over 20 years of experience as an educator, Dr. C works transcends conventional teaching methodologies. Her dedication to fostering an inclusive learning environment is evident through her work with Beautiful Dreamers, where she has been instrumental since July of 2015. At Beautiful Dreamers, she not only administers educational and psychological assessments, no. She also provides invaluable training, supervision, consultation, and support for educators, mental health professionals, and organizations working with minority populations. Dr. C's specialty lies in her cultural and social acumen, particularly with diverse ethnic groups such as Caribbean, Rastafarians, and French Creole speaking individuals. Her fluency in French and French Creole complements her extensive experience administering psychological assessments. In her capacity as Director of Social and Cultural Competency for Justicia Foundation, Dr. C initiatives are rooted in the belief that social and cultural awareness are essential to individual development. Her approach ensures that individuals, especially those with learning disabilities and mental illness, are empowered to become productive members of society. Her holistic approach to education and her advocacy support those who are most in need and stand as testament to her profound impact on the tapestry of modern education. Woo!
Wow.
Mom, that was a shimmy.
I was like, who is that? Who is that?
You are her. She is you. Wow. I cannot wait to dive in. But before we dive in, we always have to start with the girlfriend story. So this is our first time meeting. So tell me, how did you and Dr. K connect?
Through work. Initially, I connected with her sister years and years and years ago, back in 94, because we're both from St. Croix. So that's how I knew of her, never met her, but met her sister. So years after completing my education and wanting to now go back home to do some work around mental health, I met her again, and she was over domestic violence and rebuilding relationships. So that's how we reconnected. And a few years she contacted me and she said, listen, I'm trying to do some counseling. I'm trying to get into this field. Can you help? And I was absolutely, sister friend, come on board. And that's how we formed this relationship.
So let's talk a little bit about, so we spoke about our girlfriend story. Shall we talk a little bit about you and who was Dr. C before she was Dr. C? Who was Vincentia? Let's talk about that girl. Who that?
It feels like moons ago. So I'm having to reconnect to those past lives, as in plural, because past lives. So I was an educator for close to 15 years in special education. So everything around cognitive impairment, behavioral expressions, that seemed to fall outside of the scope of what we refer to as appropriate education. So those are the children that get caught up on the IEPs and the 504 plans. My job was to ensure that all of their goals and objectives, all of those modifications around classrooms, instruction were adhered to federally because they're on this federal document called the IEP, Individualized Education Plan. And I recognized that there was such a strong correlation between learning disabilities and the impact on emotional and behavioral presentations. So I thought about it because my background is in psychology, but when I graduated, it was right at 9/11. I graduated September 1st, 9/11 happened 10 days after. So there was no one hiding. I knew that I wanted to go into psychology, was quite young, didn't quite want to deal with I saw it as people's burdens. I don't know if I had emotional capacity at that time. Fresh out of college, trying to live my best life. I was like, the easiest thing to do right now is to get into education. And oh my goodness, I loved it. Changed my life. And doing my thing in Gwinnett County in Georgia, very supportive in my PhD process. And then I had my son, Nikolai. And about a year and a half later, I was pregnant with my daughter and tragedy happened. And this is what really solidified my purpose.
Yes.
Right. So I had to shift lenses. Instead of focusing on pain, I shifted to purpose. So I had her at 25 weeks at about 1 pound and 10, 12 ounces, quite extremely micro preemie is the medical term, where her skin was translucent, hooked up to every machine there was. And of course, every 5 seconds, with every doctor imaginable telling me all of the issues she's going to be plagued with, should she survive, right? So at that time, of course, I'm not thinking about education. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm simply thinking about survival of my child, not even survival of me, right? But survival of my child and as I'm forming relationships, because I lived in the NICU in Atlanta. And as I'm forming relationships with parents and talking to doctors, and I know, right, because this is the work that I do, I know any child who has been exposed to such adverse experiences will have some residual impact. I knew that cognitively. So I started to prep for it in the NICU. And I was like, So cognitively, which simply means that there is a correlation. So that was further reinforced in the NICU with talking to other families who came in, came back to visit the NICU. And I said, I'm going to leave education. That's when I made that decision. First, I'm going to take care of my child. I trust that she's going to leave here, right? And I'm going to work with her. And that's what I did. I developed programs around speech. I developed programs around behavior. I did a lot of touch therapy with her and lots of cuddling. I made sure that her nervous system was as grounded as possible. I did what I needed to. I breastfed her for over a year. It was my mission at that time that I had so much milk because I was on the regimen that I fed all the other babies in the NICU and started shipping my milk to other hospitals in Georgia, in Florida, Alabama, you name it, because premature breast milk is like gold. Yeah. So hospitals are always looking. So I had milk through everybody's deep freezer on my block. So they saw me coming with a bag and they knew it, So those were the things that I walked away with. And I recognized, okay, so this shift which was a paradigm, life transition for me, pretty much cemented where I needed to go next. And that's when I decided to go get licensed and brought me directly into this field. So who am I? I'm a mom. I'm an advocate. I'm passionate. I'm caring, I'm sensitive. My personality is quite colorful. I can be subdued, but I am a hot mess as well. I think all of that brings
all layers of it.
The balance. So this is who I am.
I love that. Wow.
I think I got stuck on the part where you were talking about, when you change pain into purpose, that transformation, and then how the impact. So what you started doing just for your daughter spilled over into the other babies in the NICU, spilled over into babies that are across geographical borders. And that's really the prayer of most of us, is that the work we do will go beyond just what's in front of us and really spill over and literally from your body. How much of a blessing is that? Because a lot of how we give, it's from our mind, right? But literally from your body being able to make an impact in such critical stages of babies' lives and families' lives, even the blessing to those parents.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
oh my goodness.
Yes. 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 I remember her NICU primary doctor, because she had so many of them. He was Cuban. And he said, I don't care what you eat, just eat. Get that
That
milk as
nourishment.
rich and fat.
Yeah.
This is the only time I'm going to give you that allowance.
Yeah.
And I gained 100 pounds in a few months.
Wow.
And this is how my body at 25 weeks, because the body's not yet ready
Right.
to be able to produce as much as I did. And of course, I called home and had these people send me bush stuff.
Of
So
course.
listen, I had FedEx packages
Yes.
being sent in the mail to help produce milk. So it felt like such a communal, cathartic
Yeah.
expression of growth and love and care and appreciation and gratitude that she's still here. So that's the least I could do for another family.
Oh my God. It's so multi-layered. Okay, so you said so much. So you see, this is why I have to be taking notes. So first of all, thank God for podcasts like these because I'm just learning this too. You see, this is the good thing about humanizing the doctor, right? Which is the whole
Yes.
purpose of the show. So thank you for being so vulnerable and for sharing that. And I think what also stood out for me, Dr. Sherlonda, was that transformation of pain to purpose, right? I think that's something that resonates in a lot of our interviews. And I love that it's not something that held you back. It was something that propelled you forward into the work that you're doing right now. So that's really powerful. And then the other thing that stood out for me is when you said the people send a bush. Now, that stood out to me because we're Caribbean, right? But I also, because this is, about Afro-diasporic healing and wellness, I want you to expand a little bit about the role of those cultural practices, because I know that is also one of your strong points, the cultural practices,
Right.
the community in supporting you in that process as well.
Absolutely. So one of the first thing I'm going to say is from where we are from, Caribbean presenting people, is we're from resilient-based communities, which simply means that we're able to recognize what our challenges are, prepare for it, and shift from the I, I'm trying to be gentle. Shift
Oh, Jen,
from
go
the
ahead.
complaints
Right.
into solution focus
Yes.
type of problem solving strategies.
Mhm.
So because we're from a community and every single year we're confronted with hurricanes, preparation of hurricanes, we don't get stuck in, oh my God, it's another hurricane season. We're like, oh, okay, it's here. So what do we need to do to prepare?
Right.
So when you're from such resilient-based communities, it teaches you a
Mhm.
lot around strength and particularly faith.
Mhm.
At
Mhm.
no time in that hospital, regardless of whatever the doctors were saying to me, that I accepted what they said over my child. I only believe what I said to myself
Mhm.
about my child.
Mhm.
And I didn't get stuck in the wires and the tubing and the calls and all of the x-rays and her brain being of blood matter and just that and nothing else. I
Mhm.
stayed in the place of I am here for a reason.
Yeah.
And it is my responsibility to find out what that is. So
Mm.
I think there comes a time where we're confronted with which path we're going to take. Am I going to succumb to the challenges, or am I going to use the challenges to shift, move me from a place of being unstuck to embracing what that can look like on the other side?
Right.
Right. So my community nurtured me to think this way. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean it doesn't come with faults. Oh
Of
my
course.
God.
Yeah,
And one of
Caribbean parents and communities aren't always the easiest there. So I know we
and
take both bad.
and one of the most salient that we don't necessarily think about is this strength
Mhm.
that people expect us to have without putting those bags down. So you are expected to push through regardless of what
Mhm.
you're going
Going
through,
through, right?
right? So I didn't have time to think about what I was going through
Yeah.
because the expectation of myself was to push through, and then I'll go back
Hmm.
and take some assessment of
Right.
what it is that I went through. And I did. And I think that's what we don't take time to do. Yes, life is tough, and you're going to be confronted by traumatic experiences. All of us here, we're having
Right. The human
lived
experience.
experiences around life, right?
Yeah.
However, what are you going to do when you get over that challenge? Is for you to go back and sit in it,
Hmm.
confront it,
Yes.
dissect it, process it, pull out, extrapolate from it what you need.
Yes.
And what you don't need, you can simply put it on a side until you can go back to revisit. You may not have the capacity, whether it's financially, emotionally, to deal with it, but
Mhm.
you can recognize that there are some areas right now
Right.
that I just don't have it. because I have children to raise, or I have a relationship that needs my attention, or my parents, or whatever those things are for us, right? And then for us to continually do the work with self. That's what I connected with purpose. Purpose was not to die in that hospital room. Purpose was to recognize that hospital room can be symbolic for me. Now, what am I attaching to those symbols?
Wow.
And that's what I did.
Wow. So as I was listening to you talk, I heard you say stuck and unstuck a few times, and that's a word that's I'm the unstuck strategist. So that word really resonates with me whenever I hear it. And so one of the things that you said was you didn't pay attention to what was being told to you. You only listened to what you were telling yourself. And so my question is, because that was really profound. So for our audience who's listening to this, for people who may not know how to speak to themselves in such a powerful way that can actually move them to action and shift the whole perspective, how did you get there? What do you do to feed yourself? What is that process like to be able to say, no, I'm only listening to what I feed myself? And I heard one question was already, part of it was already answered, because you said after you go through a challenge, you will assess and extrapolate, and then store that for the next time. Maybe there's something there that you can use. So that's golden. What else? What else do you do? What type of practices do you have that helps you with your mindset and your mental health that can strengthen you in this most challenging situation to stand firm on what you believed?
Voice. So along our life's path, people deposit voices into us. Every one of us. We have caretakers, neighbors, friends, family members, ministers, whatever, teachers, professors, and everybody's voice kind of helped us to kind of frame and create an identity of who we are. So what we do is we take all these people's voices and we form who we are based on the expectations of us, what they call us, what they think, our strengths, our limitations. So we connect ourselves to other people's ideologies and we lose ourselves in the process. So when I'm working with individuals who says to me, I'm 65 and I've never heard my voice. So my first question in probing is, then whose voice have you been listening to? Right? Yeah. There are people's voices in our lives that will be louder than others. So one of my first technique is find your voice. You know what your voice sounds like. Can you hear it in all of the noise and everybody's expectations and everything that was said to you and everything that was done to you? Not just saying the doing, because people have the tendency to believe that if it's done to you, yeah, sure, you can have some impact, but if it's said, then not. No. Every time it is said, we hold on to that because the body, this vessel, it keeps the score.
Yes.
Right? So I now have to work with you to identify what that voice is. And sometimes the voice is afraid, because it may believe that it lacks resources, social networks, strength, empowerment, all of those things we tend to navigate through. For example, I'm going to use you two ladies. There was a voice that said, I can do this. And today you're sitting with me because you believe that you could, because you listened to that voice. So we lose our way when we lose our voice. So when I had nothing, I had my voice. And Khnuma, you've been with me for many, many years, and you recognize some of the other challenges I had in my very own community. But I never lost
your voice.
My voice. And my voice, I get to define what that voice says. I get to determine how I see myself, not what anybody think of me. I could frankly care less. Some people think it's a little callous and cold. And okay.
Not at all.
I don't wake up thinking about what you think of me or how you said it to me or what you think you could do to offend me. I can only be offended if I believe what you said about me. And because I don't believe what you say about me, because my voice reverberates how powerful I am. How wonderful I am, how gentle I am, how beautiful I am. And however you decide to define that, how impactful I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my voice said to me, this child is going to be okay. And I
Yeah.
listened to that voice. That doesn't mean I didn't take directives of the physician. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
I didn't do
Right.
what I needed to do. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It simply meant that I am choosing in this moment to decide who I'm going to listen to. So
Mm,
yeah, I had people say, oh, why not just unplug her? This is a lot for
mm,
you and your family to go through. You're young, have another child.
mm,
Why not just, they told you all of those complications, Dr. Sherlonda, you in the medical field, all
mm,
of the things. She's going to be a vegetable. She will never be able to see, hear, speak, or be functional. None of these, all of these things I was bombarded with. But I
mm,
chose to listen to
mm,
my voice.
mm.
Wow.
Oof. Listen, you have me shimmying all throughout the whole episode, okay? So if y'all
Like
just
we need to just like hold
right
space
there,
for
it's
this and
just
just
like
like
the
stay in
tongue
this moment.
taking on form. Exactly. Oh my goodness. That was really insightful, powerful, and there were two things that came up for me. Not only did you listen to your voice, you believed your voice. Because I think sometimes when people, they say affirmations and things like that, but they don't actually believe it, right? So I
Correct.
think that stood out for me that, to listen to your voice and also believe. And so you had that sense, that strong sense of knowing almost. So even beyond belief a little, right? Like a
Yes.
knowing that she
Hmm.
will be well. I was
Hmm.
called for this. We're in this together. So I love
Hmm.
that. And then I remember looking at a podcast the other day about wealth and mindset. And what the gentleman said, if I remember his name, I can't remember, but he said something to the effect of there's a difference between a choice and a decision. Choice are the options you have, but the decision is what
Hmm.
you make, and you made the decision. So I love that, and I think that's so much a part of the getting on stuff is make the decision. And so
Hey,
let's
sis, have you been looking for an opportunity to just get away, to just be, to reset your nervous system, to step away from the noise, from the overwhelm? Join me this fall in Panama City, Panama. I will be hosting small groups of women, no more than 3 at a time, to come through and just be. Contact me at unstuck@drsherlondaadkins.com for more information. Dr. C, as I was listening to that, I'm listening from the ears of like an audience, but also for my own self, because I still have times where I'm struggling with whose voice am I listening to? So you just simplified it and made it very easy when I find myself in that space. And I would encourage everyone who's listening to do the same thing and say, whose voice am I listening to? So that is a tool and a takeaway that I will use. So thank you so much for that. And the next question I have is, as a woman of color doctor, I'm pretty sure, like most of us, you're probably pulled in many different directions. You give out a lot, and there's probably always something to do. What do you do for your own mental health and wellness in terms of boundaries? Because I'm sure that you have to have some type of boundaries that you have implemented and erected. Because as we're listening, I'm just really enjoying like your chill vibe. And I know that doesn't just come from someone who has no boundaries. So you have some type of system in place. I can just feel it. So please
yes.
share that with us.
Yes.
So in the time we spent, you'll realize that I always start with self. So I start with boundaries with myself. I don't think about boundaries enforcing it with anybody else
Mm,
unless I have enforced it with myself.
mm,
I was having lunch yesterday with a girlfriend. I hadn't seen her in about 10 years. She had some medical stuff traveling, relocated and came back. And in the conversation, I asked, how would I know from afar that you love yourself? And she
mm,
said, but I put myself together quite well. I'm highly successful and educated. I said, those are self-care. That's accomplishment, accolades, right? But how would I know
mm,
that you love yourself? And boundaries is love.
mm.
Mm.
Yes.
And if I am unable to enforce those boundaries with myself, it's quite clear that I don't respect and or love me. So what does that mean? That means that I will not violate the boundaries that I have set up for myself. If I decide that I'm going to work out 5 days a week, that is my contract with myself, and I don't violate that because that's love, that's respect and honor to myself. If I say I'm not going to engage in particular conversation, that's called conversational boundaries. I don't violate that. So if people call me for they want to go on this pity party, that's fine. I give you one time. After that, you better come to me with some solutions because ain't nobody got time for that. Now I don't
you
have
remind
an
me Dr.
issue.
Keisha said that too. She's like,
Oh, I
resolve
don't have an issue, right, in helping you formulate, process through, but no, we're not going to do that, right? So those are conversational boundaries. Then I have spiritual boundaries, right? You don't necessarily have to believe what I believe, but what you're going to do is you're going to respect what spirituality means to me. And spirituality is belief for me in a higher being connecting to nature, taking care of me, eating well, sleeping well, right? Healthy relationships, all of those things for me are boundary setting. So if your lifestyle doesn't complement mine, I ain't got nothing to do with that because that's violation of my personal boundaries. And then there's financial boundaries, right? So there's a lot of expectation around Black women and being the nucleus and caring for people and being so compassionate and giving to our own detriment. This system roll like this, okay? I will help. But I will help with particular stipulations that you are not going to participate in the same behaviors and don't come back to me twice for the same issue. That is financial boundaries because I respect my work, my sweat, and my effort.
that part,
So
girl.
I have developed a system of boundaries. So it's not just one thing. Now, another boundary with me is, at night we have this endless scrolling that we do at times. I set an alarm on my phone.
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock, I need to turn this off, not snooze it, which means I'm not going to violate the boundary because your body is listening. Every time you violate a boundary, you don't go for that walk, you don't choose that salad, you don't get off the phone, you engage in conversations you promise you're not going to do, you do things you said you're not going to do, your body recognizes you don't respect the temple. So if I don't have a healthy, loving relationship with myself, how am I going to expect you to respect the boundaries that I have in place for me? That's how easy it is. So from afar, if you're coming to me, you would already know based on how I treat myself, talk to myself, take care of myself, based on my practices, beliefs, you will already know that this is not the one that I want to play with.
It's like over there or go over there, but not this one.
Life demands flexibility. Absolutely. There are going to be times that we have to deviate from those boundaries, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are times that we have to overextend and give and support. There's nothing wrong with that, but it becomes a problem when it's habitual and it's pattern. So what boundaries are you putting in place for yourself that you're not going to delineate from, you're not going to deviate from, you're not going to make excuses for, well, it's just my mother, it's just my sister. No. The body keeps the score. Your body is well aware that you don't respect the boundaries you have in place. So why should anybody else respect it? That is how I keep myself healthy.
Ooh, wow. So I was right. I could already tell that you had some things in place. So I was right. And you just like snatched me up real quick because I was like, this morning, I woke up with the intention of, yes, I am going to do my workout. I did not do it. And I'm sitting here like, I've just violated my boundaries. So so I have a whole new
right. Listen, the next time I look at having a burger instead of a salad, I'm gonna hear Dr. C's voice and I'll be like, okay, fine, I'll go eat the lettuce and the carrots and put a little sesame dressing to dress it up a little bit. But that's so important and so helpful. And I love though the focus and the reframe of boundaries with self, looking inward, because I think a lot of times when people think of boundaries, they think about keeping everyone else in check, but then they're out of control sometimes. So I love that focus. Right. I kind of want to segue a little bit into relationships and managing relationships and centering wellness in that as well for yourself.
I categorize relationships in 3 C's: constituents, comrades, and confidants. And based on where I place you, that's the currency I am going to interact and engage with you, right? So constituents are just people who are for what you're for. That doesn't mean they're my friend. They're associates. They're for what I'm for. They believe in what I believe in, but they don't necessarily know me. We don't break bread together, but we're cordial and it's okay, right? So those are the people that I have to determine based on the level of engagement, what kind of trust I'm going to lean into, because they're constituents. So as things change, they change with things. As the wind blows, it blows with the wind, right? And it's okay, because I recognize them to be constituents, right? And that's that. When my term is up in their life, we move on, and it's okay. Our issue is we don't know when to let things go. All right. So the next is,
I know, right? We singing now, girl. I'm a dancer. You gonna sing?
the next is comrades, and that's the tricky group of friends, because they can appear as confidants, right? They are your branches on the tree. So depending on how much weight you can put onto the comrade, they may be able to tolerate it today. That doesn't mean that they can tolerate the weight tomorrow.
Right.
So because they can appear like confidants, we treat them as such. And then when we get hurt, then we wonder why we got hurt. They're comrades. They're not here for the long haul. They're here to support you in this moment of time. And that's that. And it's okay.
Yeah.
They came in, they helped you, they did what they were supposed to do, and we're thankful and we're grateful. And as we can help them, and when we say, hey, you go, yes, you need, no, we're good. They're comrades, and that's fine. But you do not expose your innermost thoughts to comrades.
That's good.
Then you have confidants. If you have one or two confidants around your life span, you have a lot.
Yeah.
Those are the people who are your heartbeats. One or two, that's it. People make the mistake that if they have a spouse, then automatically he transitions into your confidant. No, he's your husband. It's a relationship. People think that relationship, when we're dealing with confidants and soulmates, is always about romantic interest. No, there's several levels of soulmates. I have a girlfriend who's my soulmate. That doesn't mean we're romantically connected. It simply means that our souls see each other. Our pains, our triumphs, our successes, our faults, our highs, our lows. That's my soul sister. That's my confidant. See? So this is the person that you pull into close. And you keep them warm, and they keep you warm. And there is this extension of you and her extension of me. Our lives are almost like dance. It's effortless. I don't have to wonder that if I do this thing, that there will be envy. I don't have to wonder that if I show up not in my truest form, that there will be criticism or talk. I know that if I should fall, she will catch me. That's a confidant. And that's not a branch or a leaf. That's the trunk and the roots of your tree. So your exercise, for those who are listening, is start to do an inventory of your relationships and classify them in those 3 C's: constituents, comrades, and confidants. If you have 5 confidants in that group, you're wrong. They're not confidants. 1, 2, that is it. That's my take on relationships.
Ooh.
That was a lesson and a half.
I was just gonna say that could just be a whole course. I don't think we have enough time, child.
But what you're saying, I love it, again, because it's profound, but then you simplify it, the 3 C's. I can remember that. I really wish this was something that I learned from the playground, because I, along with many other women that I talk to, one of the source of our stress a lot of times is relationships and navigating relationships, especially through different seasons of life, in transitions, and trying to figure out, the relationships that were there just because of proximity, what happens when you evolve and it seems like, people just don't get me anymore. And so all of these complex thoughts when it comes around relationships, and learning that in seasons, it's okay to shift, like you said, with the comrades, or was it, I'm sorry, it was the constituents. The tides change, the wind blows, they're gone. And you just thank them for the purpose that they serve, the purpose you serve in their life, and move on. But sometimes we get stuck, and you said this earlier, because we hold on. We don't know when to let go. So I wish this was a lesson I wish I had learned decades ago, because it would have been extremely helpful and saved a lot of heartache. So thank you.
For me too. Okay, I didn't appear this wise today.
There's been a process. But it is so layered, because I'm thinking about girlfriendism in one, and then I'm also thinking about having this classification, but how sometimes people may misclassify you differently as you classify them. And that's where I think a lot of the gap of the heartache is. So from the girlfriendism side, I think about how many people confide in me, right? But then they expect that same that same reciprocity. And I'm like, girl, I'm trying to build 1 million girlfriends across the globe. It can't everybody be my confidant. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I can't be everybody's besties. Now I'm creating a circle where you may find your confidant, right? So sometimes I think there is that, and it's tough for me, I think, as a, for having a business called Girlfriendism, and then I introduce myself as your girlfriend, Dr. K, which I am. I create that space for girlfriends to connect, but I see it where sometimes people may attach confident or something that I didn't sign up for per se to me, even
Right.
though my classification may be different. And I see that's where sometimes a breakdown, I think, comes along.
Yes,
What I see
absolutely.
with friendships where we don't classify each other the same. And so then people have certain expectations
Yes.
around those classifications. And sometimes you don't even
Right.
know that that's the expectation. I'm like, child, I didn't sign up for that expectation. So you can be mad with me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
we need to have a conversation about where we at. So
Yes.
I think that's so powerful when it comes to women's friendships, especially because I think that's what I see is where there's that difference in classification. So that's really helpful to have the breakdown. But to your point, it's you knowing where you're putting that classification for them. So you can make
Absolutely.
that adjustment as to what feels
Yes.
safe for you. And I think that's
Right.
important for everybody to do. Yeah.
And I'm very upfront, right? I know my attention and emotional capacity. I know me. I'm 50. I'm 50. I've been here for a little
You
time.
don't look
Yeah.
it, darling. Don't look it. Good genes, honey. Aphrodite's pork.
I
Yes.
said it because I was
Yes.
hoping you would say exactly that. All right, now let's move on. So it's not necessarily about the other person's view of what
Right.
the relationship. It's your view of the relationship.
Hmm.
I think a lot of the time is we see it, but we don't say it. And that's where the complication happens,
Hmm.
right? We see the thing, but we don't say the thing.
Right. Right.
People are very flexible and fluid.
Hmm.
So if you recognize that they're trying to connect in the confidant circle, it's important to say, I
Hmm.
can connect you with like-minded individuals who can better
Right.
support, who can lead you, who
Right.
can. And people are open to that. People understand you're busy, but there is a level of integrity around you, Khnuma, around therapists, that the moment they know this is the work that you do,
Right.
all of a sudden
Right.
you become yes, they
Right.
expect that. So I'm very open and clear in saying, I don't have the bandwidth. I
Right.
can lead
Mhm.
you somewhere else because for me to be able to support you, I need to support me first. And
Mm.
for that relationship you're seeking, let me tell you what I can do for you. I never say I can't do that. I can't
Right.
be that. I always say, let me help process with you what I can be for you.
Right. Right.
And that helps.
I love that. I'll
And
definitely.
that's very gentle too,
Very
Hmm.
because
gentle.
when people are, in that space, it's not, it's not malicious.
Offensive.
It's a lot of times,
Yeah.
sometimes coming with a little bit of trauma. And I
Yes.
think that's a very gentle way of
Yes.
redirecting where people still feel
Right.
safe. Yeah.
Exactly. I can go to your first appointment with you for counseling.
Mhm.
Maybe if it's a very scary first step, I can be there and do that for you. And then I'm going to expect that you're able to do that afterwards. So it's helping, walking alongside them, not in front of them, not behind them, pushing them up the hill, but
Right.
walking alongside them. And people are generally open to that. Okay.
Dr. C, so one of the components that we talk a lot about includes wealth. So what is your definition of wealth?
My grandchildren's success, wealth success.
Mhm.
Not my children, but my grandchildren. I plan for the generations to come, not the generations that came directly out of me because I have a direct influence
Mhm.
with that. So
Mm.
what that means is I think sometimes we are, particularly Black and Brown communities, we always find ourselves in a place of struggle.
Mhm.
It's always the next thing and the next thing and robbing this person to pay this person and not paying the person back that we robbed and so on and so on and so on. And all it does, it really creates a lot of fear in our nervous system. And then we move from acute stress to chronic stress. And then we're not able to regulate ourselves. Now we become hypervigilant. Then we have all of those medical illnesses as a direct result. And we all know that Black women in particular carry the highest rates of autoimmune diseases. Why? Because our stress levels are through the roof, right? One of the factors that can certainly help us with that is wealth.
Amen
Being
to
able
that.
to take care of our bills without having
Mhm.
to put ourselves in compromising positions because statistically we are in relationships we don't want to be with because we cannot pay our bills by ourselves.
Mhm. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Think
That's
about how profound that is. That
right.
there is a man in your bed who may be beating you up, who's not kind to you, but you have to feed your children. Or you live in zip codes or in spaces and places where you cannot be available emotionally to your children because your body is under serious emotional and psychological arrest.
Yeah.
How can you be present for the conversations and the raising and the rearing and the gentleness that your children need after a hard day? How can you probe instead of how was the day? So tell me something good that happened today. What about something not so good? Tell me about how you feel in your body. We don't have time for that when we're forever thinking about the next meal and do I have enough to take care of? So I am okay with my children, but I want to make sure my children's children will be okay. And I may or may not be here for that. So for me, wealth, success around wealth is my children's children will be just as my children or better than my children. And that's how I define it. So what do? Well, I have established a trust to ensure that my children meet certain criteria before they have access to any of the pennies that I have.
I know that's right. The sweat, you said the sweat, honey. Yeah.
And that is in education.
Yes.
Right? That isn't how they set up themselves relationally. And those things are absolute. There is no compromising. Those are non-negotiables. And these are conversations I started having in elementary school. And then in middle school. And the more that they're mature, now we're talking about stocks and we're talking about investments and savings and we're talking about working because they work, both of them work for me. And they understand the value of money because they have to have a healthy relationship. I don't want them to be afraid of spending, but I want them to spend intentionally. Understand that you are giving somebody what you have sacrificed, and what you've sacrificed is your time. So look at money as time. You're giving somebody that hour.
Right.
Is it worth the bonbons today that you had yesterday?
Right.
And typically they're like, no, mom, yeah, you're like,
right.
I don't think that. So it's for them to start to think about themselves that way so that my children's children's children will be okay.
That is so
wow.
good.
Wow. So you had the 3 C's earlier when you were talking about the relationship. So I just heard the 4 P's. So I heard preparation. I heard projecting generationally. I heard protection of the wealth, all for the sake of having peace.
Oh, yes, girl. Bring on the peace.
Yes.
That is so good.
Yes. Education is wealth.
Yes.
Right? Wealth is power.
Yes.
It gives me a different life experience. It puts me in a different bracket. I don't have to worry. I can go on vacation, right? So I can self-care. I can eat organic food. So wealth is not simply money, is the access that it gives, the ease that it gives. It helps me to not have these compromising relationships that I must engage in because I have to survive. That is wealth.
There's this practice we've been doing at the end of each interview, so where we read directly from your submission form. So the question we asked was, what perspective do you bring as an Afro-diasporic woman doctor that is often unheard? And you said, softness and femininity are strengths. I love that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I think far too long, there's been this perceived belief that as Black presenting women, that we are aggressive and cold and hard, and we don't know how to necessarily navigate relationships in a way that is feminine. Now, I'll define femininity in a little way, in a little while, but I think there's been so much conversation around who we are not, that we've forgotten who we are, right? So femininity is strength. It's being able to protect my family, not necessarily with blows and fighting, right? But with my empowerment, with my beliefs, with my consistency, with my structure. It's showing my daughter how to care for herself. It's showing my daughter to understand what her limits are. It's making sure she recognizes danger and being able to protect self. It's giving her language around what she should say and what she shouldn't, navigating those relationships at 15 versus waiting until she she's in a relationship and trying to
Yes.
teach her those things. Those things are feminine energy, right? It's also bringing my son into that conversation and how he should view himself, not simply as a provider, but as 100% contributor to the household, emotionally and behaviorally. Yes, provide for your family, but your wife needs your emotional presence as well. So it's having those conversations. Those things come from our essence as women. And when we are trying to avoid who we are and we're taking on a different identity, because this is what society tells us, we got to be loud and, oh my God, I'm independent. I'm so independent. No, I am not. I'm not trying to change no tire.
Right.
And I'm not pushing anybody's lawnmower around my yard.
Right. That's right.
There's nothing wrong with that if you enjoy it.
Right.
But I have nothing to prove to anyone, right? And this is the other conversation, coupling wealth. This is what wealth enables you to do, to say, I need to take care of myself. So let me bring in a cleaner once a month. Right? I need to ensure that my yard looks good because I like to go in my yard barefooted and ground. And that's what all of that encompasses femininity. And femininity is inviting and it's safe and it's soft. And your partner or your girlfriends or your neighbors, whomever, can simply lean into the energy. And for a second, all is well. That is the power. It's inviting, it's non-judgmental, it's inclusive, it's non-biased. It's just is.
I just want to sit in that.
Right, exactly. Oh man, I love that because again, it is challenging what the societal narrative is about how we show up. So I love that it's a love rebellion to tap into that femininity. It's that self-love and we're rebelling against, but by creating more of what we want to see and want for ourselves. And it takes me back to the other day when my husband came home. So I was, moving things around and just kind of sprinkling my little energy, somebody said I have like fairy dust energy. And I didn't think anything of it. He came in, he said, wow, babe, thanks for making the house a home. And so that came to me when you said like that energy, sometimes you can't always see it, but you feel it.
You feel it.
Yes. And that femininity is home, I feel. So that is just such
because the home is inside of you first.
Right.
You had to create that in order to give that.
Yeah.
So if you're so very busy fighting, proving this independence thing, which is a bunch of nonsense, we all need each other, then you haven't tapped into those resources that we all as women have inside of us. Just your energy just kind of shifts the room. But you got to know that. You got to tap into that. You got to believe that. And you got to know that you are deserving of what you want.
Absolutely.
And how do I know I'm deserving of what I want? By saying no to the things that I don't want.
Right.
Right? Even if they feel good. But I know what I want. So I won't compromise because I'm desperate or because everybody else seems to have it or because right now oh my God, I need to close the gap. No, I am okay just as I am because I'm full of me.
Yes.
And that's it. That's femininity.
Okay. Thank you so much. Dr.
Yes,
for having me.
Your wisdom, the feminine energy. We absolutely love and receive it. And I know that the audience is probably like drooling, like, how do we get to her? So please tell the people, how do they get in contact with you? How do they reach you? Because somebody else is going to need to hear this speaking up on a stage. So tell the people.
Sure. Website is beautifuldreamers.org. Beautiful dreamers, because we're all beautiful people and we should and have a right to dream. So it's beautifuldreamers.org. And the email is info at beautifuldreamers.org or Dr. Vincentia, Dr. My first name, Vincentia, Vincent with IA at beautifuldreamers.org. And the phone number is 340-473-5146, 340-473-5146.
Really been an honor.
Thank you for having me.
It has been a blessing to our audience.
Yes.
We just get to really celebrate the brilliance of our women of color doctors. So thank you again for answering the call. Thank you again to the audience for tuning in, and we love you. And until next time,
I love you.
Yeah. Bringing in the men who experience us up close, our husbands.
remember you wanted me to, give you a bubble bath every night and every day because that's what you saw
that was on the stories.
TV.
Yeah.
I was dealing with my 50 million sparks in my brain.
I learned so much just looking at her web browser.
Right, I know.